Hello, everybody. My name is Marcus. I work DevRel as Edge and Node, and today we have Jasper. And unfortunately, my internet is not behaving today, and so we're having to go through just me as a black screen right now. But Jasper is actually he's not the host today. He's actually a guest. So today we welcome Jasper. We met at ETH Global New York City just a few weeks ago, and Jasper had a award-winning project building on the graph and hypergraph. So with that little intro, I just want to say thank you, Jasper, for taking your time to join us today. And how you doing? And if you could just share a little bit about yourself with the viewers, that would be awesome.
Cheers. Yeah, Marcus, thank you for having me and appreciate you coming to the ETH NYC event, being a sponsor, and yeah, really honored that you all selected me as one of the prize winners. So excited to be with everyone today. I'll give everyone a little demo of the project in a second, but a bit about myself. Been off and on in the Web3 space for maybe about 5 years. Around 5 years ago, opened up like an interactive art studio that was looking at physical digital art, and we were leveraging some kind of Web3 technologies to make that happen. We had a couple exhibitions around the world, which was exciting. Looking at built like these AR structures, and also had another dynamic piece where depending on when you purchase the artwork, it would look differently. It would look different, and this was maybe like 5 years ago. So at the time, it was pretty exciting. Obviously, this space has evolved a lot in the last few years, and I suppose my background as well is programmer by trade. So really interested in how you can leverage technology to combine it with creativity and really empower people and get people excited and get people engaged in using technology in a different way than they might not typically think is possible. So that led me this year to work on this project that I'll demo and show everybody called Wallet Unwrapped. And one thing, just preface, like one thing that I love about all of the ETH global events and some of these hackathons is you come in and you get to learn about new technology. So I hadn't ever, I think, Marcus, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Hypergraph is really new, right? It's like a couple months old, if even.
Yes, yes. Yeah,
So
just a few weeks old.
yeah.
Just a few weeks prior, it was unveiled in France. So, yeah, this is a developer preview. The team is pushing PRs faster than they can actually. I'm amazed at their rate of development. And so, yeah, it's changed just in a few weeks since ETH Global New York City. So, yeah, it's a great time for you to hop in, try something new. And you built something akin to essentially your background. You have this artistic flair that
Yeah.
really came through within the product itself. That was really, I've been judging hackathons for going on, I don't know, 3, 4 years now, it feels like. And so the vast majority of which are fantastic projects. I mean, I'm impressed all the time. The artistic flair that this had was something that I hadn't seen, and that was something that I really enjoyed and connected with me immediately. So I'm excited to have you share what you built and essentially give viewers that 0 to 1 experience that I just had just a few weeks ago.
Amazing. Yeah, I appreciate that. And it is one thing that I like to, how I approach projects is how can we combine technology with creativity and some artistic flair, as you kindly said, to make something really cool. So coming in, getting to experiment with new technologies is really exciting. And so for this project, I came up with this idea after seeing both kind of the Hypergraph's new technology as well as OpenSea. They released like an MCP server, which basically allows you to interact with their APIs through like natural language. So in the back end, coming up with dynamic questions to ask about a user's wallet, and then pulling in that data, and then, as I'll show later, like publishing some of that information via Hypergraph to either private or public spaces. And so the concept was like a Spotify wrapped
And
style
if we
application.
could
Oh yeah,
back
go
up
ahead.
just a little
Yeah, yeah,
bit,
yeah.
let's back up a little bit. Because Hypergraph is so new to everybody, I think it's just worth restating what Hypergraph is real quick.
Perfect,
And then,
please.
yeah, absolutely, pedal to the metal, go for it. But yeah, Hypergraph, for those of you who don't know just yet, is a full stack app development framework that's inspired by both Web 2 and Web 3. It has a lot of different features that take away some pain points that's just been there for Web3 development for years, and also takes some Web2 learnings and brings them into this really nice framework to develop a full stack application. And so Jasper saw that, and then you got right to work. Like literally the first day you walked right up, and I feel like you had this idea already in its small shape.
I was thinking, yeah, the week leading up to the event, I was thinking, what could I do? I wanted to do something with AI because that's obviously an emerging field, and I hadn't really experimented with those technologies. But then also creating data and thinking about where you can effectively store that data and how the relationship between, in this case, like private and public data can influence an application. So Hypergraph was literally the perfect fit, and then some of the other technologies that were unveiled played in really nicely to the application. So maybe without further ado, I'll walk through Wallet Unwrapped.
Let's do it. Yeah.
So yeah, the concept is a Spotify wrap style experience, but looking at your on-chain holdings, history, token balances, transactions. And what I like about this idea is that it can leverage one of the most like positive and interesting elements of doing things on chain, which is that that information is public. And so figuring out how to leverage that information in a really creative way was something that I wanted to focus on, and give users an experience around like discovering maybe some trends or patterns that they might not know otherwise with how they've interacted on chain in the past. So the concept is very, very simple. You can drop in your address or even someone else's address in this case, and start to.
And before you
Go
get
ahead,
going
Marcus.
too much
Yeah,
into
yeah.
this, could you make the screen could you make the screen a little bit bigger? I just want to
How is
have
that?
people. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I
Yep, there we
can.
go.
Yeah.
Go for it,
Hopefully
because I
that
do
looks
want them
good.
to see how cool this does look.
Perfect. So drop in your address. I'm going to just drop in my address. I've already analyzed it because what happens when I press this button is behind the scenes, we have kind of data structures for like almost like a Spotify wrapped card. So a certain question that we have about our user, in this case, our wallet address, and then we pull in information from their on-chain transactions or on-chain history, and then we can answer questions like who is your favorite artist in Spotify, or like what month were you most active? Questions like that are all crypto themed. So I'm gonna hit analyze here. Typically it processes behind the scenes. I've already pre-processed this so that we don't have to wait too long, and we get to have a nice little summary of our data. And I think for this one I have about 3 cards that I pre-processed. I'm hoping that it's not too big. I might have to reset the size of this. Maybe I'm just going to make this a little smaller for now. So the first card we have that's generated is like an on-chain vibe check. So it shows a bit of the metadata about our wallet in this case. So I'm a pretty balanced account. Can see that this wallet had like 242 transactions, a couple swaps, but we've had 118 active days of activity on chain, which is pretty exciting. So let's jump to the next card and see what the next one is. So now it's profiling what kind of archetype we have for the tokens we hold and what that says about us as an on-chain either investor or collector or whatever you might be. So for me, you can see that I'm a blue chip believer. I have most of my money that's in this wallet in ETH. If anyone knows Spork, that was for like ETH Denver. I mean, or like the Denver Ethereum events. So I have some Spork as well, and some Wrap Ether and some Polygon. So pretty traditional holdings. But if you had like a lot of meme coins, you might be a very different persona for your trading profile. And then finally, this is the one which is like the most fun. This is basically creating a squad from your top NFT holdings. So what we do behind the scenes is this like the natural language query. The prompt for this card is pull in your top 4 owned NFTs, get the image metadata for that, and then submit those images to In this case, we're using OpenAI to generate like your entourage squad. So these are, it's actually a pretty good one. I switched the
Great.
quality. I switched the quality to high for this run. You have to pay a little more, but it looks really good. So these are 4 NFTs I have. And what's
It
interesting is
does.
that they're not even full body images, but using the image generation, like it's made them into real characters on the series. So this is my entourage. These are all projects that I actually worked on in the past, back in the day with the interactive studio that I was a founder for. So this is the kind of cards you can generate. And what's really exciting about this project, and Marcus, what I think I demoed to you, and that resonated, I think, with a lot of people at this event, is that because of the way things are structured, what we can do is we can actually create new cards. And I'll make this a little bigger. And what I mean by that is anyone can come in and you can start to actually come up with your own question and see it will, behind the scenes, like we can automate pulling in the data to answer this question. So I'm gonna do one. We'll call this like time of day, and we can say like, please pull in my profile's latest transactions, and create a persona for me based on the time of day I prefer to trade on. And I can say like generate, in here for media, I'm just going to do generate an SVG that represents this persona. And what we can do now, and I'm hoping this works, a live demo, you never know, is what we can do is now we can take this query, brand new custom card, and behind the scenes we can go in and it will try to pull in the relevant transactions and then create this persona. Fingers crossed that this works. We'll see. It takes a while because behind the scenes it's using OpenSea's MCP server, pulling in the relevant transactions, and hopefully it will create this card. Fingers crossed. We were running into some, I think that maybe worked. Let's see, I'm just gonna skip to the end. Oh, perfect, it did work, which is fantastic. So we can see that actually our persona is, I was doing it, my best times were at like 3:21 a.m., which is really funny. And you can see that I've minted many items from this time, and this is pretty interesting. And I actually think I was living in Japan at the time, so I think this is why my trades are at such crazy times. But that's really cool. We can create our own new sort of schemas for how we want to generate these cards, all through using natural language, which makes it very accessible for anyone, and really intuitive. So that's the core of the project. And the other element, which is where Hypergraph came in, is we actually can publish all of our data using Hypergraph into either private or public repos, so that you can actually explore other people's collections, which is really fun. So here are a few that I've generated in the past couple weeks. I think some of the images look like they've expired, but so someone I tried a wallet and they were big Moonbird traders, and these other SVGs are all generated using, in this case, like OpenAI service. But we can see that other people are also blue chip believers. I think some of these are even my things. This one, for instance, this was a streak lord with 535 transactions, and we could view their full like unwrapped personas if they choose to share these. So whole project, obviously, like with any of the ETH global events, like it's like a 2-day, or in this case, it was like a 2-day timeline. So it was a lot to get done. I think I went to sleep on Sunday, maybe around like 6 a.m. and we had to get up at like 8 to start the judging process. So you're running on a little bit of sleep, but it's so fun, and you get carried away, and you want to make things like, in this case, like want to make things look nice with these nice cards, but also want to make sure that it's functional. So it's this really fascinating trade-off with like putting in as many features as you can, and then at some point you have to call it and get some sleep and then get ready for judging. But it was a really fun experience. I hadn't done a hackathon in a couple years now, but it was great to work with like Hypergraph and OpenSea's latest releases, which I think OpenSea released their thing the same week, and Hypergraph was like 2 weeks before this hackathon. So experimenting with a new technology, seeing how far you can push it in a weekend, and then trying to come up with something that has like an innovation angle as well. So it was a great time, and Marcus helped me in the dev process a lot. I came to him with a bunch of questions, so he was. Thank you again during the event for, for ironing out some kinks I had along the way. But
Yeah, it was great. It was great working with you, and your questions were exactly in the wheelhouse of a creative, artistic developer who's trying to push really quick. It was fun to work with you side by side. And how's my audio right now? I'm trying. By the way, if you're listening in, my internet, my router, there's been a heat wave going through where I live, and so the internet's been interesting to say the least for the last day or two.
audio is great.
So
Audio is
hopefully it's
great.
coming in clear, but we'll
I
see.
got you.
Your audio is great. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, I can't be on screen right now, so yeah, no unfortunate camera. But yes, so the yeah, the final product right here, I've got to say, is really impressive. You found a way to tell a story and was able to connect with me and of course others. I mean, it wasn't just us; it was OpenSea too. Seeing what a developer could do to tell a story through the tools that were in front of you, and if that's not a hackathon top of the mountain for a lot of different teams, I don't know what else is. We want developers to think, how can they use these tools creatively to find something that connects with people? And this immediately did just that. So hats off to you and
Appreciate
your
that.
focus. And man, I really do hope that you keep on keeping on with this project. Because yeah, you did. I mean, it does have a potential for a general purpose type of
Yeah.
use case for so many different protocols, for so many different groups. I think it does provide a certain uh, connection that can connect with a
Yeah.
lot of different people that are not just developers, and that's something that's super powerful.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot
So,
of, I mean, with this project.
real
Oh,
quick.
yeah, sorry, go ahead, Marcus. Yeah. I think there's some lag,
Oh,
but
all right,
go
go
ahead.
ahead. Go ahead. No, no, please go ahead.
Just was
Yeah,
going to
there is
say
some
that.
lag. That is
Yeah.
definitely my internet doing the thing.
But I was just going to say, like, this project, I mean, you'll share the links to it, but everything is open source. So if anyone wants to pick it up and continue working on it, I think there's the two things I'll note that are interesting to note on how you could continue this project. Like, in the back end, you're paying some LLM to do the processing and to query the data. So there is like a cost associated with running this, but I think it could be, there's some really interesting models you could have where you can get pretty complex with these cards. Like this Entourage one is a little bit of custom code to be able to pull the images. You have to download them and then re-upload them as like a to edit the image effectively through OpenAI. But what's cool is that people could come up with custom cards, and then there could be some payment model where if you want more advanced cards, you can pay some additional fee that would cover the cost of creating those cards. So what I would envision, how you could take this project forward, is you could have an ecosystem of people that have the schemas for cards that could be published on Hypergraph, and people can then decide what cards they want or continue to make their own cards, and there could be different sort of payment models associated with those cards, depending on if they take resources to, in this case, like generate an image or compute in the background. So I think that's a very exciting concept that could obviously apply to like analyzing current data, but even going forward, pulling in different types of data or different sorts of analysis. So an interesting continuation, which I would encourage anyone who's interested, pick up the code and feel free to take it wherever you want to go. Could be fun.
Cool. Very cool. I want to double click on that. Your background in Web3 development is in the room here with us, and also Hypergraph is. I'm curious what your first impressions of Hypergraph were, and then what did you like about Hypergraph as you're building with it? And then also, what did you not like? I'm curious on both sides, because it is a new thing, and we're trying
Yeah.
to build in public with this new framework, and a big part of that is receiving feedback. And I'm curious what your thoughts are on what Hypergraph was able to do for you.
I think one of the most interesting conversations that Marcus, you and I had were on the schemas that you create in Hypergraph and how you can actually build on other people's schemas. And I think you were even mentioning this idea of like having schema competitions where you are are creating schemas that build on other schemas that exist within the Hypergraph network, and that concept really fascinating. And for this project, coming up with like the schemas are pretty straightforward for a card. I mean, you can even look at it and you can start to imagine in your mind like how does this fit inside of a really nice like typed object, and those translated extremely well into kind of Hypergraph schemas. So I really resonated with that process and thinking about how you can build on schemas. Like it would, in that sense, it's very easy to add on a new feature to a card because that's just, you can extend the schema, which is very cool. And I also really like the concept of these public and private spaces, because then you can manage what data you want to share publicly, but then you can also have your private repo of maybe some cards that you don't necessarily want to share. You can have that ability. So I think that dynamic is very interesting, and something that I haven't seen executed in like in such a elegant way, which is why I was excited to try it out. I think when it comes to some potential like improvements for the developer experience, and I think we touched on this as well, like being able to when it's easier, and you can do this now, although it took more development time than I had, but you can, if you can provision things based on your Ethereum wallet, for example, like that would be something that'll be really exciting, because then people can connect their wallet through MetaMask or their preferred like wallet provider and be able to manage data that way. I think that's going to be, once that's like a two-line integration in like as a developer experience, that's going to be huge. So that's something I'm looking forward to, and some additional work on the way that you generate the typings files. That those are two things that I'm looking forward to. But the paradigm of the public, private, and the idea of having reusable schemas, very very cool. That I want to utilize in the future as well.
Very cool. Yeah, that's exactly where the team is heading. In fact, they just pushed a new, basically wrapping of the schema generator that they've been working on for a while now. Called it's called TypeSync, and the goal is to make schema generation locally and also schema generation in regards to the knowledge graph more seamless. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, they're working hard on aiming for more creative ways to deploy schemas and have them be powerful, literally just from a few clicks. And
Yeah.
that's something that I'm really quite excited for and to share more on, hopefully in the next few weeks, few months. So, yeah, man. Well, Jasper, I really want to appreciate you and your effort and your time. I am going to share, of course, this repository and the code and the showcase and the video. I'm curious if there's anything that you'd like to share with developers who are maybe new to ETH Global Hackathons and wanting to jump in, as well as developers that are maybe new within Hypergraph. Anything you want to share with them?
I'd say I think there are a few ETH global events even coming up, and I would say just even if you're curious, even if you don't have a background in development, just hop in, and you can even attend the sponsor workshops. I mean, that's how I found out about Hypergraph. Is I went and Marcus gave a talk, and I said, "Oh, this is interesting. Like, I'd love to try to use this." And you even just exposure to the technologies will get you thinking about what you could create, and that's a really exciting process to undergo. So I'd recommend you can even if you're interested now, all of the talks are on YouTube, I believe, under the ETH Global channel. So you can, even if you're curious or interested, look at those talks and understand a bit about the technology, and then see where that takes your mind, because it can be really exciting. And yeah, for Hypergraph specifically, like if you have any sort of application you're thinking about where it's useful to segment the data between like your own private space, but then also a public shared space that can benefit from either, like in this case for my application, like data exploration, which is kind of fun, and the ability to share, and have people like show off to other people, like that's an interesting dynamic. So thinking about how you might be able to leverage that would be a good place to start. But just experiment, build things, see how far you can take a project. I will say, like, from even the like employer side of things, like with run a startup, and always, whenever we're hiring anybody, we always look at portfolio of projects that they've done either through their work or even independently. But just going out there trying to build something is just great initiative to undertake, and will pay will pay forward, and be worth it in the long run. So just try building and have fun with it.
Amazing, amazing advice. Well, I think that's the best place to end this. That was some sage advice from you, Jasper. Really appreciate you and your time.
Oh,
And
cheers,
for those
Marcus.
of you out there watching, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Graph Builders Office Hours. We're here every Thursday, 5 p.m. UTC. And hopefully the camera is working next time. Hopefully the internet's working for me. Because life does happen sometimes, and just got to push through.
Audio
So,
is perfect
and
right
Jasper
now,
knows
so
about that, pushing through, and
yeah.
audio is perfect. We'll take it. We'll take it all the
Yeah.
way through. So, thank you, Jasper, and viewers, thank you so much for watching. Have a good rest of your day.
Cheers.
Okay.